I'd like to thank you all for being here today, especially those of you who knew I'd be saying a few words. It's very touching that you still decided to come. I'd love for you to go to the you don't realise you're coming to that third page. I'd just like to start by laying down a couple of ground rules. Firstly, no heckling. Secondly, if you do have a mobile phone, please leave it switched on. Keep yourselves entertained. I think if you keep your spirits high and your expectations low, everyone will be happy. I've realised whilst writing this, I'm a testament to myself to the lengths that a man would go to for a free meal. And to be able to get my hands on Gary's now redundant porn collection. Now, I did wonder when Gary asked me to be his best man, why me? Yes, I've known him for about 30 years now, beside most of the table at the back there from school. You have some great memories with most of them. You've also made some great bonds since too. You've got some very special people in your life now, so I came to the conclusion that Gary possibly pleaded, saying he has a friend who needs some stage time. A moment in the spotlight, maybe. Or just a look dapper in a suit, and I don't have an issue with public speaking. Although surely, Vicky, you know my sense of humour. It gets me into trouble quite often. I don't have a line in the sand. So beware. I did post this speech to Frankie Boyle's Twitter account, and he said that he couldn't be associated with such a pathetic attempt, something so distasteful, but he did wish you good luck after I finished. I'm slightly bothered by the term best man. After all, if I'm the best man, why has Vicky chosen Gary? So with this in mind, I'd rather take the title of very good man, and Gary can have best man. After all, he's a man that I admire. For many reasons. He's reliable, he's caring, he's honourable, and he's very sharing. We're clearly a dying breed, buddy. At least with you snapped up now, I've got the market to myself. Now, the real story behind how Gary and I first met, most of you, including those that we went to school with, aren't aware of this. Our primary school, as some of you will remember, was very forward-thinking, and as part of the minority awareness back then, we had an after-school class. Both Gary and I were chosen to attend. You see, we both, and it took some years before we were diagnosed, were disabled. My affliction has troubled my teenage and adult life, made relationships difficult, affected my confidence, where sometimes I would end up spending days in bed. Yes, that's right, I suffer in silence of being one of the minority of naturally good-looking people. Gary's ailment, however, is that he's simply ginger. And it's working at speed here, fair weather. So, we were paired off together, hoping that my desire to make people laugh, being loud and outspoken, would detract from that 24 carat alongside me. It's hard to believe that these now mildly blondish locks used to be this ginger. Is that actually his? Yes, it is actually it. What a stud he was back then. Don't you ever take the mickey out of me for my skinny arms ever again. Now, this connection meant that by around 7 years old, Gary could already trust me. He knew that I had his back, well, as much as you can at 7. They say that once you look down the barrel of a gun or the blade of a knife, it never goes from your mind. And I'm unfortunately stuck with vivid memories of our bonding moments. Now, it could have been the time that we realised we both slept with the same girl, or as most lads would have, an over-exorbitant drinking session. But no, at 7, you would hope it was something more sedate. It was a Tuesday. The specifics you'll realise shortly are easily remembered. And my therapist told me at this moment it'd be good for me to share. A day when we were in class, it was a demountable classroom, the sun was out, and Gary was on his first day back after a short period of sickness. He beckons me to the toilet just outside the classroom, something that from that moment I learnt to decline. Gary felt our bond was strong enough and his sexuality clearly confused enough that it was appropriate to show me his freshly circumcised genitalia. So as you do in these situations, and at that age, I invited him over to play some computer games. It's more a roasting than a best man speech, I'm sorry. So it was surprising to both of us in the latter years of primary school when Gary started to be interested in girls. Not only did it shock them, but also the friends around him that Gary was not gay. He'd spent years perfecting his craft and became head male gymnast for the school, one of the small group of Morris dancers, and then was chosen to move to the elite broom dancers and show the skills of how to dance with a cleaning utensil to the masses at a variety of tendering community festivals and shows. Now, Gary's performance at these events was often stiff, so much so that it came to the casting of our major school production in our last year of Starship Silver Grey, and Gary was immediately appointed the robot. Sorry, you can't picture what this must look like. Hannah, would you do the honours? Now, it's natural, of course, that I would take the lead role as captain of that starship. My fashion sense hasn't changed from such a performance. I quite remember clearly when it came to the dress rehearsals, everyone's entire outfits had all been made by their mothers and staff, etc. And I was the one wearing reflective silver trousers that were model's own. Now, my fashion and confidence has always been a contentious issue to Gary. In his manly self, pink and striking standout, his outfits is a bewilderness that he just isn't comfortable with. Gary will remember with me the one occasion we were out together. I say one because following this it never happened again. We were in our 20s and women's attention being oh so important. We were in Colchester and it was a sunny day. I, as always, would have spent 3 or 4 days deciding what to wear. Plumped for a pink shirt and apparently some white jeans. Now, I have to remember this was a few years ago, and yes, I might still have that outfit, but that's not the point. We went for a drink in the Ha Ha bar in town, and it's likely one of us was single, if not both, and I approached the bar. Now, my memory of this is different to Gary's. He's adamant on this specific location in vicinity to the bar, proving just like my toilet episode earlier, just how much the incident scarred him. So I'm ordering his beer or cider, manly as always, and my lemonade and lime, because clearly cocktails were on offer. And no sooner had I placed my order, that this attractive girl to my side turns to her friends and says, "Oh, why are all the good-looking guys gay?" I was ordered with this to stand in the middle with him for the rest of his pint, and then we scarpered. My solo nights out with Gary came to an abrupt end right there. So as you can see, we're like chalk and cheese. I'll make time to see him, he'll check with Vicky if he's allowed out. Even back at school, I listened in English and maths. Gary was planning his next workout session. Gary endures manual work as an exceptional mechanic, and I like sharp suits, and in case I break a fingernail, I call Gary when I need a tyre changing. When I see a park bench, I remember who and how far I got. Gary remembers the double backflip he mounted from it. Yet again, I'm apparently the camp one in this relationship. I'm good in the bedroom, and Gary, well, I hear that he tries his best. And throughout life, this can be admired of him for trying his hardest and never giving up. A real testament to perseverance. Now not only seeking to retire from being the most trustworthy mechanic around at just short of 20 years, but now he's fully qualified as a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, nutritionist, etc. He finally feels he's found his vocation, and I'm so very, very proud of him for the work he's put in. As mentioned earlier by Keith, there are some special people unable to make it here today. Well, you have some well-wishing cards that I read through earlier. First off, Gary, thank you for the evenings by the pool. I appreciate the tough choice, but hopefully you make the right decision. Lots of love, Michael Barrymore. There's one as well from Clacton Maternity Unit, wishing you both a prosperous future, but they have a plea to parents and relatives of both couples to lay off of the pressure for kids. They're not only concerned about the high risk of orange, but Gary was a late developer in the looks department. They're now using this picture to promote safe sex across Essex. Now to both of you. Your journey is only just beginning. Everything up until now has just been a rehearsal for this time and the decades ahead of you both. It doesn't matter what got you here, how many girls from the local caravan park Gary worked out as a pot boy who felt up in the back of his Vauxhall Cavaliers and Mark II escorts. Gary's now found where he belongs. I've seen him here and abroad with the girls that he's had in tow, and And this is no game. You have him lock, stock and barrel, and he's never looked back since meeting you. I wanted to gather a few sentiments from loved ones today. I started by asking Anne, Vicky's mum, how she felt today looking at Vicky now that she'd been married off. Anne was very reminiscent and said it only feels like yesterday she was falling asleep with a dummy. So isn't it strange how history repeats? Now, single guys, I'm sure you'll agree that today is also a very sad day. Another absolute beauty is taken from the available list. And of course, ladies, I'm sure you'll agree too, hasn't it been a wonderful day? Now, I haven't been able to concentrate either today with the radiance of beauty from the bridesmaids. Don't they look outstanding? Ellie, Adele, Hannah, you're all a picture perfect. Can you raise your glasses and toast the bridesmaids? For the bridesmaids. Now, Gary, you leave here today a husband with a gorgeous wife who radiates beauty, a business mind surpassed by few, and a bond of immense stability. Vicky, you leave with an amazing dress and a wonderful bouquet. On a serious note, I only get to say all of this stuff and take these cheap shots because I love you so dearly. You kick me back into line with the relationship mistakes that I make, and I know you only do it because you want me to be as happy and as content as you are now. You're an admirable guy, and Vicky should be as proud of you to be as a husband as I am to have you as a true friend. To love, laughter, and to both your happy ever after. Everyone, please raise your glasses for Vicky and Gary.
Vicky and Gary.
Now, on that note, thank you very much, and I will pass you back over to Keith. That's the end of the speeches. That's my work done.